Hello everyone and welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan. Thank you ever so much for coming to my channel. I appreciate the support. It's a lot of fun. So we're at what absolutely is the hardest aquarium to film in my fish room. Not only is it on the ground floor of the fish rack, you can't even see all the way up there. It's a tall, the UNS 25T, so it's a tall 5.5 gallon aquarium. That means, if you can imagine, take the classic Petco 5 gallon aquarium and put it on its side, and in many ways you're looking at what the shape is. So it's vertical, 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 which looks badass, but it's hard to film. Because we like to film on a horizontal as opposed to the vertical and blah blah blah. So between that and where it's situated and trying to frame it, it's hard. So let's just start with that. If you're getting a tall aquarium, there are many considerations and challenges, not the least of which is just being able to photograph the damn thing. So let's start with the bad news. I mean, you can tell in general it looks pretty cool, right? And we'll talk about the things that are working for sure. But where those little fronds, I'm calling them fronds, they're actually the plant itself. The fronds are, I believe, the many little feathery leaves. But they're so delicate and fragile. That's Rotala willichi, or Willichi. And those were a few tops I got from one of my other aquariums. And right there used to be the carnation on this Sunday go to church suit of an aquarium, the Hygrophila chai, the SP chai, that pink plant. It's pink, pinker than any plant, way pinker than a pink flamingo cryptocorn. But it's really challenging, and it started to go a little white and get a little mushy, and I couldn't bear watching a slow death. I tried some tactics. I moved a couple of the healthiest pieces up in the tank, like where you see this incredible moss held together on a great little rack that you can buy online. They're everywhere. Just look up, pothos holders, moss racks. A little magnet keeps it there, and you tie some moss that you pull from wherever around and around and around on the very convenient black plastic. And voila, it's free on the bottom and top, so the water circulates beautifully and it doesn't get brown or black. It grows perfect no matter which angle. And anyway, I thought it was doing such a great job with this moss that maybe if I elevated the chai that used to sit there, and I had a little substrate in a glass bowl that was also held up by magnet, but that didn't work. So long story short, that was a fail. And then I just gave up and said the hell with it. So the plant cost me about $25, which is a lot, for one little plant. And it didn't work. And it wasn't because this tank isn't good for plants. There is one big challenge, but by and large, I've got CO2 in here. There's no fish or ammonia from fish or anything like that. It's a clean, pristine tank, and the only organics that are in it come from the plants themselves and a host of shrimp. Shrimp and snails are the only creatures inhabiting this aquarium. And while I spent hours and hours, which is my pleasure, going to all the online fish vendors to research what would be a great nano fish in this aquarium, I ultimately decided, until I figure it out completely, and I haven't, there are things here that I wrestle with, like, for example, using Rotala willichi right there in lieu of the Hygrophila chai. that plant, if it grows, and it will, is gonna get too big, and it's just gonna look, I think, a little weird, given that right behind it is the feature, the hardscape feature, this beautiful piece of inverted driftwood with a wonderful puffball of Japanese clover, or Hydrocolte Japan, which I've attached here with a little, I got a clump of it out of a tank that wasn't even doing well, a small little group of that plant, and I took one of those lead weights that come at the bottom of things like Rotala when you buy them at the store, or Ludwigia, like that Super Red Mini, or even the Bacopa, that's the red strain. But a lot of times, and I don't like it when they do, fish sellers sell their bundles with the lead weights. Now that'll keep it down in the aquarium so they could stay vertical. I get it, in a fish store. But I keep those weights because you just never know. And this was a perfect hack, because if I tried to just incorporate that Japanese clover into the crook of that driftwood, it would look great and then it would float away. It just wouldn't stay. But here, it's as if it's growing out of it is completely stable there. I can prune that, and I have to. Unfortunately, it grows super fast. You see the tendrils already coming out there on either side. I don't want those reaching into the other plants as they're wont to do, and creating their own form of superior Darwinian, survival of the fittest. Well, they're a damn fit plant when you're using CO2 and blasting it with light. That's a small twin star. Speaking of light, it's the only light I could find that would fit atop this interesting 25T aquarium. Now, I could have gotten a clip-on, but I didn't want that. I wanted as much power as I could get, because the biggest problem from a grow perspective is getting quality light down to the substrate. Now, if you don't care about maintaining a carpet, that's not an issue. Even these simple Rotala and Ludwigia need a lot of light to do well. And I wish this thing were even stronger, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. And so far, to go from the chai croaking on me, dying on me, this is just a wonderfully healthy carpet of dwarf hairgrass, I must say. I mean, I've got UNS soil, the medium or small grain, capped with sand, and there's a few pebbles here and there. And I did use some gravel, or some root tabs, which I don't usually do, and I'm not sure why I did. UNS Contra soil is pretty nutritious, but I knew I wanted to almost have a Wallstead type tank here, that kind of a system. That was the vibe I was going for, which is so inappropriate for this shape aquarium. I get that, and yet maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm nuts, but I thought if I could get it done, it would be awesome. And I envisioned Bacopa, which has that stick-like incredible growth formation. That'll go all the way up to the top, and it'll stay just as cool near the bottom as it is up top, especially given light and CO2. Now that purple strain is rare and more expensive, and the green would grow faster. And so I had, that was the inspiration for this tank, if I'm being honest. That alone. That super red came from one of my other tanks, just a group of cuttings. It's my one of my new best friends. I never used this popular plant before, but I got committed to incorporating more red, and if you're gonna do that, nothing works like Super Red Mini. That's either Rotala orange juice, I think that's what that is, and there's some other There's a green strain that I mixed in there with it, all from other tanks. And that's doing pretty well. I have given it a couple clippings, so those are tops there that I just pushed into with some cut down stems, and that's one way of doing it, topping and replanting the tops, combination of those two methods. And that's on the right side. The Super Red Mini and the Bacopa Red is on the left. It's actually Bacopa Purple, but you know. And then we talked about the Hydrocolta Japan, and I've got one Cryptocorn Balancea, which is kind of cool. At first, the top of it, and we're following it, promptly got a lot of algae when it hit the surface, but that problem has dissipated, and now it's doing what I wanted it to do, which is add a soft feature to the verticality of that driftwood, which I anchored into the substrate, by the way, using the cigarette butt and crazy glue method onto some river rock. Part of me regrets, and this is thinking out loud, but part of me regrets putting hardscape in here at all. Yes, I do sort of love that aesthetic, but in a vertical tank, those few rocks I used, about the size of baseballs, but maybe more oval, big eggs, they take up a lot of ground real estate. And if you're trying to grow as many plants as possible, that's a thing. And I guess my mind just kind of went to popcorn when I tried to reconcile, a pseudo Wallstead aquarium with hardscape. I just sort of did it anyway. And the results are great-ish. I sort of wish I could just plant where you see that gray rock. That's Blixa japonica, by the way, and it really loves this tank. And that's, what do you call it, auriculon, there with Blixa japonica, auriculon Vietnam. And those are just other kinds of grass-like plants. And I've got a Blixa in front here. Part of me, wonders if I should have if I'd known this dwarf hairgrass would have done so well, I might have just done a pure carpet of it. But usually parts of dwarf hairgrass don't look as good as other parts, in my experience. And so breaking the carpet up with other plants is a way to give you a natural look and also hedge your bets against a spotting or a hairgrass that just doesn't want to be in your tank. So you see there's a little more of that auriculon Vietnam there, and the Blixa japonica there. I've got some Bucephalandra mini purple, I forget the exact name of it, right there. Wish it was a little bit bigger. It'll take 50 years to get a little bit bigger, whereas this Rotala, by the time I'm done filming, it'll be up to here, which is a problem. I don't think that'll look right. So it's a high-class problem, but I love the color. Are you kidding me? That's what I wanted for the center of the tank, a carnation. Those were the two inspirations for this aquarium. A Bacopa in the back so I could watch it climb the incredible verticality of this tank, and then something super cool in the front and center like a Hygrophila chai. So some things work out and some things don't, and we evolve, we modify, and we keep going and we keep growing. That's the beauty of this hobby. A mistake isn't like you have to get a new canvas and start your painting over again. You just work with what you've got. There's an interesting shot there. You see the moss on its ledge and the Japanese clover, and then the group of two red plants kind of forming that stairway down, stairway to heaven, up. I've got one strand of Brazilian pennywort which loves how close the light is to it. I have to pull a beautiful, healthy piece of that every week. I save that because my LFS, for whatever reason, they love trading me for it. Look at those white roots. it is as good a condition as this plant gets in terms of its aesthetic. I mean, I've seen fish rooms where it overruns and grows out of the aquarium. I've got some of that going on in another fish tank, but for its in its purity as a sort of in the Japanese perfection mode, the perfect imperfection of like a Takeshi Yamano aquarium, when you see that algae free, the great white roots, some of the bubbling from the CO2 or pearling plants below, that's the ideal in a planted aquarium. Maybe not your ideal, but that's certainly the big trend with aquascapers. And I really wanted to accomplish something closer to that than some of my other aquariums, which are more organic and natural. And so I've succeeded with a terrific carpet. I think I'm pretty happy with the red there in the back. I'm happy the Blixa japonica is happy. I'm just still not sure. The thing with this Rotala is it's gonna start falling over on itself, which in a vertical tank with all that real estate is not ideal. So that could be a change later on. The balance say I don't want to just put more of that, and I certainly don't want to put Vallisneria in here because while it would go all the way to the top and do that thing, it's such a fast grower under the substrate that a plant will literally pop up anywhere else in the tank within a month. And once that happens, the plant's root superstructure is pretty much under a whole bunch of your aquarium, and pulling it out is next to impossible. So unless you commit to the val all in, you know, it's awesome until it isn't. And I didn't want to commit to one plant. I wanted a group of plants. And nothing in here is guilty of overtaking an aquarium, except perhaps the Japanese clover here. And excuse me for using the colloquial term for it, Hydrocolte Japan, but it looks a little bit like a clover, and it's from Asia, if not Japan proper. There are some Anubias. I like to always anchor hardscape with Anubias plants. Such an easy solution for blending your rock or wood with the ground, with the substrate. Using an Anubias, a slow grower that's dark green, it's a great complement and transition plant, and it always will be, and it will be for you in almost any setting you choose. So what do you think about the Rotala Wallichi there? The issue with this orange juice? And should I, and I'll end with this, and it's a legit question. I almost did it in an OCD rage last night. Just pull that hardscape, take out the rocks, and plant up the whole bottom. I know that would look great and yet, I don't want to make that mess and disturb the tank. I'm willing to do that, and there's no fish in here, and these shrimp are hardier than we think. I don't think there would be a problem with the disruption from a health of the tank point of view, but it would be a messy big job, and it would be as close to a do-over as I get here. I don't think I've taken a tank down per se since I started this channel. I like to evolve and grow with my systems, and so taking out that piece of wood, I don't think I would be able to even keep Japanese clover in here anymore. Not on the ground. It would creep over everything like a creeping Jenny. And since I'm getting such great growth out of this dwarf hairgrass and the Blixa japonica and the Variculon, that Vietnam plant. It looks a little bit like sage. Since that's all doing so well, I don't need a carpet. I don't need this to be a surrogate for that. But I don't know what I would do with this. I could put it up here and try a draping effect. I've got more of those devices. Put one there. But then everything gets a little bit, you know, matchy poo, as my wife likes to say. It's too matchy poo. You need a little cognitive dissonance, a little disruption. You need something that doesn't make complete sense in order for the thing to look natural, or not to look too staged, which of course this does look right now, but as soon as the back fills out and you don't see that tech anymore, the heater and the pre-filter, could be pretty wonderful. So I probably need a new plant for this Rotala right there. As good as it's doing, it just, I don't know. What do you guys think? All right, everybody, thank you. As always, keep your hands in the tank, and ciao for now.